Gather is an innovation conference, and it's sort of unique in the sense that it's heavily focusing on actually solving the problems or the issues or the questions that we feature on stage.
Yeah.
So it's not just like come and listen to speakers, hallelujah moment, you know.
That motivation, inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's we actually feature some really difficult questions. I actively look for people who are less positive about the future. I want a mix of people from different areas, but also people with different viewpoints, optimists and people who are more sort of skeptical about the future, because it's interesting. Interesting things happen when people with different perspectives meet.
You get the full spectrum, like doom and gloom and innovation for saving this future.
Exactly. And we try to attract people who want to be part of innovating the future or solving these issues. So in addition to the actual program that I curate, we have workshops. We have what we call boxes that are sort of discussion Q&A sessions that are that are sort of scheduled right after the topic has been featured on stage. So right after a session, let's say Future of Democracy, you can participate if you want to in a box talk, which is usually sort of hosted by a company or somebody, an organization or a company that's particularly interested in discussing that topic.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because you're more than just there for listening. You can participate. And
exactly.
Sometimes you find like a topic you want to dive into.
Yeah.
So that's nice that you give that opportunity.
Exactly. And I know from last year that people really appreciated the fact that we had plenty of time for a Q&A afterward.
If people know that going into it, they might prepare questions and you get that dialogue. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What on this program for this year are you most excited about?
Well,
personally.
So again, comparing to last year when it comes to the agenda and the speakers, I think we're getting closer to actually specifying what Gather is about when it comes to speakers. So Christopher Wiley, the whistleblower who was part of building Cambridge Analytica and then realized that it's being used in ways that he's not okay with and decided to sort of leak to the media.
I played a pivotal role in setting up a company that I think has done a lot of harm to the democratic process.
Cambridge Analytica drilled deep, looking for a trove of social media data on Americans to help Republican presidential campaigns fine-tune their messages and win votes.
We were able to get upwards of 50 million plus Facebook records in the span of a couple months.
He's coming, and also Sheila Bernstein, who was part of the Bhagawan movement, which is controversial, and that's what I want to sort of. There's a Netflix documentary about Sheila and the movement that I highly recommend. It's called Wild Country.
America was land of promise. It was my conviction we will have no problems.
I don't think America has a place for these people.
Everyone in Antelope mistrusts Rajneesh.
I want that guru and his evil influence out of my city.
They're run by satanic power.
There is talk of vigilantes who may seek revenge on the Rajneeshis.
A bomb went off in the middle of the community.
More than 60 followers evacuated.
It was a catastrophe.
Mostly unjust, terrified.
If I didn't take measures to protect our community, no one else would do it.
And you should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
So what's significant about these two speakers and some others as well is that they are controversial to some extent. I mean, Chris Wiley, he must have known, we'll see what he says, but he must have known that he was part of building something that wasn't, at least not 100% transparent. They were collecting data in ways that, the users hadn't approved on via like surveys on Facebook, sketchy surveys, games and stuff. They were actually influencing democracy and sort of elections. That's when he decided to jump the ship or to actually try to stop it. Yeah. And Sheila was part of building a sect, and she was actually in jail for a while because they built a whole community, a whole movement in a community, a little town in the U.S. And as part of protecting this community, she actually took to guns and was sentenced to jail for being violent, basically. So she's controversial as well, but she has, she's done time in jail, and this was a long time ago. And we want to hear her view on what she did back then and what her thoughts are when it comes to sort of the whole, to building movements and to people's need for like new religions.
Tribalism.
Exactly, and questions that are so important right now when we are sort of drawn apart, but looking for new religions, new communities to belong to, and extremism.
So these are very heavy topics.
Yeah.
Do you have the lighter stuff as well?
No.
It's all...
Yeah, we don't do light stuff, no. Well, so the way I try to design the schedule is that we address big topics, but we also try to focus on, again, solving them. So in each session with 3 speakers, I want at least one to be a startup or a company or somebody who actually is building something hands-on, something concrete, so that the audience can sort of understand, oh, okay, so this is what it could be. So we talk about, for example, transparency, corruption, and I've invited Florence Toffa, who's one of the founders of Clarity, which is a digital platform for whistleblowers, to make it easier for whistleblowers to actually share their information in reliable ways without being sort of having to reveal their identities, well, in a safe way. So that's an example of big questions and concrete, like hands-on ways of solving them. Yeah.
You have a really interesting lineup of speakers coming.
Yeah.
Is it easy to get them here to Stockholm? How's the process behind that, your actual work?
Well, so the positive part is that we're so new to this, and still people get the context, and they understand that, wow, this is not your regular conference. This is not like your regular business or not even your regular startup conference. This is something different, and this is a platform and a community that I want to take part in.
They buy into the concept, sort of.
Exactly, being part of the family, meeting other speakers. So they, obviously, an important part of me convincing speakers to come is to show them, like, we already booked this and this speaker, and we focus on that as well, to actually make the speakers meet over dinners and once they're here in Stockholm. So
I'm really looking forward to this year's Gather Festival.
Oh, and ping me if you want to get a ticket for Gather.
Yeah.
I can give you a personal discount, so just ping me in any of these channels and I'll hand you a discount code.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's basically it. Paulina Modlitba, I'm pretty easy to find.